I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J-Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people started digging into her past and it raises some questions.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she has to say, as well as those.
He joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of months.
And I said, Puffy shot me in my face. This man testified. I testified in the criminal trial. This man testified in the criminal trial. People are like, why didn't she speak up then? Why is she saying something now? She want clout. Are you dumb?
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J-Lo's involvement.
J-Lo is just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Well, she deserved it. She's one of the flyest out there.
Yeah, well, she thinks that of you too. She named you one of the great loves of her life.
Yeah,
Was she one of yours too?
Yeah, without a doubt.
This definitely hasn't been J-Lo's year. She ended up going through a divorce, right when it seemed like she was living out the most romantic story ever told. On top of that, her This Is Me Now documentary flopped. What's interesting is that there are rumors suggesting her past connection with the now disgraced mogul Diddy might be at the center of it all. Stick around, because toward the end, we'll break down some explosive theories, including the idea that Ben Affleck left J-Lo because of Diddy.
Everybody else that's left her, oh, she was too this, she was this, she was that. But Diddy said she was perfect.
Maybe she was meant for the metal.
What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?
Back then, it was all about J-Lo and Diddy, before Ben Affleck ever entered the picture, version 1.0 or 2.0. From 1999 to 2001, their relationship was everywhere. You couldn't flip through a tabloid without seeing them walking red carpets in designer outfits, essentially running the New York City scene. But everything started to fall apart after a nightclub shooting in 1999. According to reports, Diddy allegedly sparked an altercation at a bar by knocking a drink out of someone's hand. Things escalated quickly and 3 people were injured. One of them, Nata Rubin, claimed she was shot in the face by a bullet from Diddy. Diddy and J-Lo fled the scene, but were arrested not long after. Jennifer was released within hours, while Diddy was held briefly. Although the charges were serious, both he and his bodyguard were let go, largely due to J-Lo's testimony stating they were innocent.
Your car drove by, saw a female hand throwing a gun out of the
Ridiculous.
car. You're the only female in the car. You don't want to talk about
Ridiculous.
it? You very confident that Puffy will be found innocent in this trial?
Yes, I will.
You going to testify?
If they need me.
Now that so much has come to light, many believe J-Lo may have lied to protect Diddy's image, a move that could end up being her biggest mistake. Do you know who actually took the fall? Shine, also known as Moses Michael Barrow, was a young up-and-coming rapper and a protege of Diddy's, someone most people hadn't even heard of at the time. He was at the club the night of the shooting and ended up serving a 9-year prison sentence. Meanwhile, Jennifer and Diddy continued dating for about 2 more years before splitting in 2001. In later interviews, both spoke kindly about each other, showing no signs of tension, even though they had just come through a criminal scandal together. That has led many to question the nature of their bond. Was it just romantic, or something deeper, possibly built around mutual secrets? While none of this has been officially confirmed, speculation is growing now that Diddy is facing multiple legal battles. In a recent interview, Shine claimed that Diddy completely destroyed his life when he was just 18. According to him, Diddy not only let him take the fall, he also allegedly got people to testify against him for something he didn't even do.
I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he contributed. He pretty much sent me to prison.
It's also strange that the shooting victim, Nada, has never changed her story. She consistently maintained that it was Diddy who shot her while openly holding the gun.
And I said, Puffy shot me in my face. This man testified. I testified in the criminal trial. This man testified in the criminal trial. People are like, why didn't she speak up then? Why is she saying something now? She want clout. Are you dumb?
Jennifer could be facing serious legal consequences if the allegations against her turn out to be true. She publicly insisted that Diddy wasn't armed during the 1999 shooting and claimed he was completely innocent. Now, people are starting to question why she's remained so close to him all these years, and the situation feels increasingly messy and suspicious. Some speculate that Diddy may be holding something over her, which could explain her silence and loyalty. Even Suge Knight, speaking from prison, has echoed similar thoughts. On his podcast, He Runs from Prison, Suge, a major figure in the rap industry, claimed that the FBI allegedly seized tapes from Diddy's home, and that those tapes may have played a major role in the breakdown of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's relationship. According to Suge, these weren't just harmless home videos. They supposedly contain shocking footage that implicates J-Lo more deeply in the 1999 incident. He said outright that there are scenes on the tapes that could prove Jennifer lied when she claimed that Shine was the one carrying the gun. In reality, she may have known all along that the weapon belonged to Diddy and even acted on his behalf to protect him. Suge believes that Ben Affleck was shown these tapes and that what he saw drove a wedge between him and J-Lo. He's even confident that the FBI handed Ben the footage directly after discovering it. So the question becomes, did Ben leave before he got dragged into something bigger? Are the feds now circling around Jennifer Lopez? It's a compelling theory. While it's unclear whether it's based on hard evidence or just insider gossip, it's definitely caused people to look much closer at the real reason behind the high-profile couple's sudden split. Even if there's no criminal proof, it's possible Ben was simply shaken by the idea that J-Lo had any connection to Diddy's dark past, whether as a former partner, a protector of his image, or even someone who once provided him with positive PR. And when you factor in J-Lo's image, always polished, always in control, always the star, with Ben's well-documented issues with fame and public life, it becomes clear they were a mismatch waiting to happen. Next, let's take a closer look at the core personality differences that may have made their relationship more fragile than it seemed.
As fate would have it, 20 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt inspired in the same way that I did when I did that first record. I was like, I'm gonna make This Is Me.
It's pretty clear that Ben Affleck was the one who ended things with Jennifer, despite how deeply she seemed to love him. Considering how many celebrities are now scrambling to distance themselves from Diddy, it's possible that Ben simply took a more decisive, hardline approach and cut ties before things got messier.
In my life, been through a lot of different kinds of experiences with the press, and it's not my favorite part of the job. It's not what I would choose.
Ben Affleck has never been comfortable with the fame that comes with being a celebrity. He's the kind of person who only steps into the spotlight when it's absolutely necessary, like for a press tour, and otherwise prefers to stay out of the public eye. That's why so many people were surprised when he reconnected with Jennifer Lopez, who's known for embracing the spotlight and building her brand around constant visibility. Their relationship has a long history. After working together on the film Giggly, Ben and J-Lo began dating in 2002. They even got engaged, but called off the wedding and eventually broke up in 2004. Both went on to marry other people and start families. But in 2021, they shocked the world by rekindling their romance, and in 2022, they officially tied the knot. However, it only took 2 years for things to fall apart. And now, many are wondering if getting back together was a mistake for both of them. At the heart of it is a clear clash in personalities. Ben has always shied away from the spotlight, while J-Lo thrives in it. She's known for loving the camera, commanding attention, and staying in the public conversation. That contrast likely took a toll on their relationship. One particularly telling moment came when Ben found out that Jennifer had shared old love letters he had written to her during their first relationship. For Ben, those letters were deeply personal, private mementos from a different time. But J-Lo saw them differently, using them as a symbol of their rekindled love in interviews and public appearances. Ben was reportedly upset by the move, feeling exposed and uncomfortable with such intimate moments being shared with the world. It may have been a small thing on the surface, but it spoke volumes about the differences between them. While J-Lo leans into her celebrity identity, Ben has always struggled with it, and that gap may have been too wide to close.
How do you accept an award for being something that you know you're not? How do you do that?
Beyond the personal differences in their relationship, many believe that the tapes recovered from Diddy's properties may have been the final breaking point between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. When you look at the timeline, the pieces start to fit. At the end of July, Ben reportedly purchased a new $20 million home in Los Angeles, just weeks before he and J.Lo formally separated on August 20th. This move came after the FBI had raided Diddy's home back in March. According to TMZ sources, Ben actually moved out of the Beverly Hills mansion he shared with Jennifer as early as late June. Apparently, while Jennifer was away on a European vacation, Ben informed her he was leaving. Shortly afterward, he began renting an apartment in Brentwood, a clear sign that something serious had happened behind the scenes. Many speculate that the gap between the FBI raid and their official split wasn't just coincidence, it was cause and effect. Something significant happened in that window that likely triggered their separation. And it's not just outsiders saying this. Industry insiders like Jaguar Wright have gone on record stating that Jennifer Lopez should be held accountable, claiming she's far more entangled in Diddy's past than she's publicly admitted. As more information emerges, the dots between Diddy, J.Lo, and Ben's sudden breakup are getting harder to ignore.
Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Should I keep going?
I mean, you're hitting it off.
What do you think? Did Jennifer Lopez lie back in 1999? And even though more than 2 decades have passed, should she still be held accountable if she did? In all honesty, J.Lo probably wouldn't handle prison life too well. If things start to close in, it's likely she'll begin publicly distancing herself from Diddy, cutting ties to avoid getting pulled into the fallout. Meanwhile, Diddy himself seems to be wearing down under the weight of it all. He's desperately trying to secure bail for a 3rd time, after having 2 previous appeals denied. This time, he's pushing his case to a higher court, hoping they'll finally grant him a chance to walk free, at least until trial. But with every failed attempt, his chances look slimmer. And the pressure on those around him, including Jennifer Lopez, keeps rising.
Sean Combs making a 3rd pitch to be released on bail. This time, he's going to a higher court, hoping he'll be released on bail.
Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, is now urging a higher court to overturn the previous rulings, arguing that the judges made a mistake by denying him bail. A tough ask, considering the circumstances. Unlike the luxurious lifestyle he's used to, Diddy is currently sitting in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, a far cry from his usual VIP treatment. Unsurprisingly, he's desperate to get out and return to the comfort he's accustomed to.
And I don't think they would do that. It's based on the evidence that he's being convicted by.
2 judges, Andrew Carter Jr. and U.S. Magistrate Robin Tarnowski, have already rejected Diddy's previous requests for bail. As a result, he's been sitting in jail for about a month, with both judges siding with federal prosecutors who argued he should remain in custody until his trial. Let's not forget, Diddy pleaded not guilty last month to a long list of very serious charges. The accusations include trafficking, coercion, and physical abuse of women dating back to 2008, along with racketeering conspiracy. According to the indictment, Diddy allegedly led an organized network that engaged in intimidation, blackmail, and, in some cases, physical harm to silence victims. Judges have been understandably hesitant to let him out, even though Diddy's team offered a massive $50 million bond, along with strict conditions, tight travel restrictions, monthly drug tests, GPS monitoring, and even surrendering all passports, including the one belonging to his 1-year-old child. At this stage, Diddy has shifted his legal strategy dramatically. He's brought in a team of elite defense attorneys to try to secure bail and prepare for trial. His legal lineup includes Anthony Rico, known for defending clients in nearly 50 federal death penalty cases, and Alexander Shapiro, a high-profile appellate attorney. Shapiro was tasked with appealing the denial of Diddy's bail, while Rico's role was to fight to ensure Diddy receives the minimum possible sentence if convicted. However, the legal team recently filed a motion to withdraw from representing him, raising even more questions about the internal state of Diddy's defense. These attorneys also filed court documents accusing the Department of Homeland Security of leaking sensitive material to the media, including the now infamous surveillance video from 2016, which allegedly shows Diddy attacking his former girlfriend Cassie in a hotel hallway. According to the defense, the public release of that footage, along with other alleged leaks, has already tainted public perception and could seriously bias the jury, putting Diddy's chance at a fair trial in jeopardy. And let's be honest, the public has already formed strong opinions based on that footage. The backlash has been intense. Whether you believe Diddy is guilty or not, that video stirred powerful emotions, and it's hard to argue it hasn't influenced how people view him. Despite attempts by Diddy's legal team to fast-track the trial date, the judge has officially set the trial for May 5th, 2025. There's still no ruling on his latest bail request, but given everything, from the weight of the charges to the public exposure, his chances of getting out before trial look increasingly slim. Meanwhile, prosecutors have made it clear they're not playing games. They've started handing over what they describe as a massive amount of evidence to Diddy's defense team, and by all accounts, it's overwhelming.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J-Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people have started digging into her past, and it raises some questions.
She joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she has to say, as well as those.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J-Lo's involvement.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
For Jennifer Lopez, the original Jenny from the block, things have clearly gotten too intense to ignore. According to growing allegations and powerful testimony from Cassie Ventura, J-Lo may have been more than just Diddy's ex. She may have been an accomplice. We're not just talking about a messy relationship here. We're talking about lies, cover-ups, and possible criminal involvement, including the smuggling of a weapon and helping conceal a crime that ultimately put the wrong person behind bars. Now, reports say J-Lo has practically vanished from the public eye, and that disappearance is starting to make a lot more sense. Cassie, Diddy's former long-term partner, recently gave emotional testimony. Through tears, she revealed that Diddy once handed her a loaded gun in public, forcing her into terrifying and illegal situations, all while using her as a pawn in his twisted schemes. And here's where it gets worse. What Cassie described? There are rumors Jennifer Lopez did something similar for Diddy only years earlier. Allegedly, she helped him cover up the 1999 nightclub shooting, the same one that led to an innocent man, Shine, serving a lengthy prison sentence. So if Diddy goes down, there's a very real possibility that J-Lo could go down with him. This story is wild, and it's only getting more intense. Buckle up, because what started as entertainment gossip is now sounding more like a full-blown criminal investigation. And with Cassie opening up about the horrors she endured, J-Lo's name is getting harder and harder to avoid in these conversations.
When she was on the stand, at times she became visibly upset, wiping away tears as she gave her evidence.
According to a legal complaint filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Jennifer Lopez wasn't just nearby during the 1999 nightclub shooting, she was allegedly an active participant. The claim states that J-Lo smuggled a revolver into the New York City club that night, and she did it on Diddy's behalf. That same evening, 3 people were shot, one of them being Nata Rubin, who was struck in the face. If true, this paints a far more disturbing picture of J-Lo's role. It's less about loyalty and more about criminal complicity. Yes, it might have looked like a ride or die situation, but in this case, it's ride or illegal die. And if you look at the pattern, this isn't an isolated claim. Diddy has long been accused of using the women around him, not just emotionally, but as pawns in his legal messes. And based on these allegations, J-Lo might have been one of them, or worse, willingly played the part. Let's be clear, this doesn't sound like someone caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. This sounds like intentional involvement.
As we talked about in the first part, there seems to be some misinformation or misunderstanding of what really went down in that trial, what was said, what people were blamed for, and what they were not. I'd love to hear your perspective and specifically kind of what you wish people understood about that trial that maybe they don't at this time.
I mean, even from the very day that the thing took place, because if you notice their mugshots, only Shine truly has a mugshot. Puffy and J-Lo, Puffy's in front of a concrete wall, J-Lo is in front of a bulletin board in some old t-shirts. Now, I want everyone to think that was the night of the shooting. You don't think at Christmas time Puffy and J-Lo went out in some old raggedy t-shirts, right? No, there was already a agenda afoot to conceal what they had on, to try to sway the minds of people, to throw your memory off, but they couldn't throw my memory off.
It's also worth noting that, according to testimony from Diddy's own driver, J-Lo identified Shine Barrow as the shooter that night. If that's true, it suggests she didn't just carry the gun, she may have actively helped frame Shine for the crime. Shine ended up serving a long prison sentence for that shooting, a crime many now believe he may not have committed. For those unfamiliar with the backstory, Shine has been speaking out for years, saying that Diddy betrayed him and used him as a scapegoat. He's insisted that Diddy set him up, and that their relationship was never about loyalty or brotherhood. And the claims don't stop there. According to Gene Deal, the former head of security at Bad Boy Records, Diddy allegedly said outright that he hated Shine. So when you connect the dots, J-Lo pointing fingers, Diddy disowning Shine, and a prison sentence that still raises questions, the idea that Shine was framed doesn't seem far-fetched at all.
That's real talk. But I gotta ask you, right? I seen a trailer for a Shine documentary that you in. How did that come about, you being in that documentary?
Well, I was there during that whole trial with Shine and Puff. Puff said, I hate that motherfucker. Blake. He told me that. And that's when they was on trial with each other.
It was already clear that Shine was set up. But what's coming to light now makes the situation even more disturbing. According to multiple sources, Diddy didn't just distance himself from Shine during the 1999 trial, he allegedly went as far as handpicking witnesses to control the outcome. Insiders claim he manipulated the testimony and stacked the deck in his favor. And here's where it gets even more damning. Jennifer Lopez was reportedly involved. Several sources allege that J-Lo and Diddy worked together behind the scenes to bury Shine. They supposedly coached witnesses on what to say, and shockingly, there are even claims that jurors were paid off to ensure a favorable verdict. If true, this wasn't just a cover-up. It was a calculated operation to protect two powerful celebrities at the expense of a young rapper who ended up spending nearly a decade in prison.
Anybody that was there, I know this young lady said Puff did the shooting. What I was told by Wolf himself, and he spoke very little about it, because he had mad love for Shine.
After everything went down, Diddy and J-Lo walked away like nothing ever happened. And not long after, Diddy cut ties with Jennifer, discarding her as if she was just another pawn in his game. But the truth is, both of them walked away with exactly what they wanted: freedom, distance from the scandal, and the ability to move on without facing real consequences.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
You might be wondering, with everything that happened, why didn't J-Lo ever testify during the trial? After all, she was there the night of the shooting. So why was she never called to the stand? Well, here's where things get wild. According to music industry insider Jaguar Wright, Jennifer Lopez and Diddy secretly got married right around the time of the 1999 shooting. But not out of love. Jaguar claims the marriage was a strategic move, not a romantic one. Why? Because if J-Lo was legally Diddy's wife, she couldn't be forced to testify against him in court, a well-known legal loophole often used in high-stakes cases. In Hollywood, that kind of move isn't unheard of. And if Jaguar's claims are true, it worked. J-Lo avoided the witness stand entirely, and Diddy's secrets stayed locked away. Her name stayed clean, her image untarnished, and her silence remained legally protected.
Shine caused a lot of that stuff himself. And Puff said, I hate that motherfucker. Blatant. He told me that. And that's when they was on trial with each other.
Wow, you never told me about that, man. You seen how Flex, he came out calling Shine a liar?
Well, I think Funkmaster Flex has every right to say what he said because he know a little bit more than most.
Although there's no official record confirming it, Jaguar Wright claims that Jennifer Lopez and Diddy held a private marriage ceremony back in 1999. But even beyond that, there are reports suggesting that J-Lo may have attended some of Diddy's controversial private events. In one public complaint, it was alleged that a high-profile female celebrity may have witnessed disturbing activity involving an underage individual. While no names were confirmed, speculation has led many to revisit past guest lists and connections. As J-Lo's name increasingly appears in court filings and retrospective testimonies, it's getting harder to overlook her proximity to some of these events. Adding to the speculation, another woman, going by the name Misha, recently shared her story. She claims that Lopez may have been present during a traumatic experience at one of Diddy's gatherings. Misha says she made eye contact with J-Lo, hoping for help, but received no reaction. While these claims remain unproven and controversial, they've sparked renewed public interest in Jennifer's connection to Diddy, and what role, if any, she played in his private world.
I remember he did what he did to me, and then when it was time for Jennifer Lopez, she was there with a guy, and he was standing there looking disgusted, but didn't nobody save me. She stuck that glass in me, and after that, my eyes were booked the whole time.
If those allegations are even partially true, Jennifer Lopez has a lot of explaining to do. Because if she really did witness what some claim happened at those events and chose not to intervene, it paints a troubling picture. And if you think it couldn't get more complicated, it does. This isn't the first time J-Lo's name has been linked to Diddy's more controversial social circle. Years ago, her ex-husband Johnny Noah made headlines when he came forward with claims about her involvement in those circles. According to him, Jennifer wasn't just casually attending gatherings, she was fully aware of what went on and was far more involved than the public realized. Noah even said she should be questioned about alleged video recordings tied to Diddy and his close associates, recordings that have become infamous due to speculation about surveillance and inappropriate behavior. He didn't hold back. According to Noah, J-Lo wasn't the person she portrayed on the red carpet. He claimed that behind closed doors, she knew what was happening and chose not to speak up. Now yes, ex-partners sometimes exaggerate or speak from a place of resentment. That's nothing new. But when you line up his statements with Misha's claims, Cassie's testimony, and the rising number of legal cases surrounding Diddy, the narrative begins to shift. J-Lo no longer looks like a bystander caught in the chaos. She starts to look like someone who was part of it. And here's the kicker. As part of the expanding federal investigation into Diddy, 2 law enforcement sources reportedly told the New York Post in 2024 that the infamous 1999 nightclub shooting is being reopened. If that's true, and if Jennifer's name is officially linked to those events, she could eventually face legal scrutiny herself. Social media has already begun connecting the dots. One viral comment summed it up. People always knew J-Lo was protecting him. The fame never really matched the talent. Now we might know why. And then it gets even more personal. In an interview, a source named Sui claimed that the collapse of J-Lo and Ben Affleck's marriage wasn't just due to personal differences or long-distance struggles. According to him, during the investigation, federal agents allegedly showed Ben a video, one that involved Jennifer Lopez and Diddy. The footage, he says, was from one of those highly private events that have now become central to the legal case. Imagine sitting down to review legal evidence, only to discover that your spouse is tied to something far darker than you ever imagined. Reports say that after seeing the video, Ben couldn't look at her the same way again. And really, can anyone blame him?
We on the news team. Did y'all hear about what's his name? Suge Knight. He said, baby, he think the reason why Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck broke up because he feels that they had some tapes at Diddy's mansion that showing her in a compromising position, and that the FBI allegedly may have sent those tapes to Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is a white man in America, and he's a very prominent man. They said he's a darling, which means people love him.
This isn't just some recycled tabloid rumor from a decade ago. The timeline actually tells a story. Things between J-Lo and Ben Affleck started falling apart right after the federal raid on Diddy's properties. Almost overnight, the couple stopped making public appearances together. Jennifer returned to walking red carpets solo, and fans began noticing awkward body language and an obvious shift in their dynamic. Now, it's been confirmed, they're no longer married. The sudden change, lined up with a major federal investigation, has left many people wondering if there's more to the breakup than just personal differences. Cassie testified that although she initially went along with Diddy's demands in an effort to please him, over time, the situation deeply affected her sense of self-worth. In court, she broke down and said, "I felt really bad about myself. I felt useless." She shared that to cope with the emotional toll, she turned to substances, including ketamine, ecstasy, and marijuana, as a way to mentally detach from what was happening. The goal, she explained, was to feel disconnected from situations that made her uncomfortable and overwhelmed. One of the most troubling aspects of her testimony involved claims that Diddy directed her to seek out specific individuals, including dancers, escorts, and performers, for private encounters. Based on their involvement, she said, they were compensated anywhere from $1,500 to $6,000. Cassie alleged that many of these people were found through online platforms and adult entertainment services, similar to Craigslist. In fact, one individual named Daniel Phillip, who was involved in the case, had already taken the stand and been positively identified through photo evidence shown to the jury.
She said that they were so exhausting, she needed a recovery period from uses of drugs and the physical exhaustion of the activities at.
Even though Jennifer Lopez has maintained a polished and quiet public image for years, recent legal filings suggest a very different story might be unfolding behind the scenes. This is no longer the stuff of entertainment gossip. If even a portion of these allegations proves true, we're talking about serious criminal implications, not celebrity drama. Given the intense accusations now coming out in court, particularly from Cassie Ventura, it's not surprising that J.Lo has seemingly disappeared from the public eye. So the question remains, where is she now? And why the silence? Cassie's testimony has grown darker by the day. She told the court that Diddy exercised complete control over her life, paying for her home, car, phone, and more, and using those resources as leverage. If she didn't comply, they could be taken away. She described the relationship as one where control was everything, from her appearance to her daily activities. But it didn't stop at control. According to Cassie, things eventually escalated to abuse. In emotional testimony, she claimed she suffered visible injuries, including bruising and swelling, and that the emotional toll was just as severe. Her statements painted a picture of a relationship that turned from oppressive to frightening, especially once prosecutors began digging into the so-called private events. Cassie testified that within the first year of dating Diddy, he introduced her to a series of disturbing gatherings, events where outside individuals were allegedly paid to participate in intimate encounters while he observed. These weren't isolated incidents. She claimed some of these experiences lasted multiple days and left her physically and emotionally drained. She also said that substance use became a way to cope with the exhaustion and emotional detachment she needed to get through them.
Said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak-off, the freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to the said freak-off?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up and she said, I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs.
This is where Jennifer Lopez's name comes back into the conversation. It's hard to believe that she wasn't aware of the behavior pattern now being exposed. After all, she dated Diddy long before many of these stories surfaced, during a time when, by many accounts, he was at his most unpredictable and controversial. If anyone saw that side of him early on, it was likely J.Lo. Now, there are growing rumors that she's avoiding being subpoenaed, with some even speculating she may have temporarily relocated to a country without an extradition agreement, just in case her name ends up being formally linked to the ongoing investigation. It might sound far-fetched, but with the amount of evidence piling up against Diddy, it's becoming increasingly clear that he may be facing serious legal consequences. And if investigators begin combing through old records, especially looking into who was present during certain key events, Jennifer Lopez's name might surface again. So the big question is, Do you think JLo could be the next high-profile figure drawn into this scandal? Was she somehow involved behind the scenes, or simply caught up in something much larger than she realized? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This situation is evolving quickly, and we want to hear what you think. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Because honestly, it's getting harder to predict who might be the next person brought into this massive case.